What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, and this is Road Signs. This is your Raw review for whatever the hell day it was yesterday. Doing this video a day late and a dollar short, and there's no reasons other than, you know, I missed the last half hour of Raw because, you know, I went out and had a life. Moving on, couple things to get out of the way, couple little shop talk things before we get into Raw. Number one, go back one video if you didn't see the last video. I'm doing a Q&A. I'm doing it in a few days, guys. I'm doing it this Saturday before the Royal Rumble. There is a video. Like I say, go back one from this one. If you have questions for the Q&A, they'll be taken from that video. They will not be taken from Twitter. They will not be taken from Facebook. They will not be taken from anywhere else. They will not be taken from, you know, email or Skype or anything like that. They will be taken from the last video. Gotta say, as you guys know, as I mentioned in that video, I kind of fucked up my back on Thursday. So when I made that video on Saturday for the Q&A, I didn't know what kind of a response I was going to get in 1 week. I recorded that video at about 1 in the morning. By the time I got up the next day, I was already up to 41 questions. That's fantastic, really, isn't it? A lot of that I owe to, you know, I used to be in the Breakers group and that kind of went by the wayside. I owe a lot of that to my new group, The Wrestling Realm, which is down in the box below, which you should check out. And I owe a lot of that to just you guys that have hung out with me for 4 years and for some reason actually stuck around, even though in those 4 years I've put out some pretty shit vids. Have I not? Speaking of groups on Facebook, though, you will see at the beginning of this video, if my, you know, movie maker decides to get along with me today, there is a new graphic specifically for Road Signs that was designed for me by fellow member of the Wrestling Realm and in charge of the WrestleManiacs Facebook groups, both of them. Type in WrestleManiacs on Facebook. You will find two, and they're both run by this amazing gentleman, Dave Anderson. Thank you very, very much for the Road Signs graphic. As most people here know, I can't do graphic design to save my life. Anyways, that all being said and done, you know, let's get down to what we're really here to talk about. We have Raw, and this is the second week in a row where I'm going to say, you know what, there hasn't been a lot of bullshit. There hasn't been a lot of filler, really. As you will remember from last week, there's a whole lot of stuff that I didn't agree with, but it's one of those, if WWE's going that way, then they've built to that way. I don't like that way, but at least if they're going to go that way, then they're doing it the right way in their heads, I suppose. Like, just there's not a lot of, like, Brodus Clay, there's not a lot of Santino Marella, there's, you know, people like Sheamus who are out, which is unfortunate, but fortunate because I don't want to see them on my television screen. And other than the last 5 minutes, we had no John Cena on this show, which is always good and is always going to make me a happy boy. Started off the show with Steph and Triple H, who I really don't know what they're trying to come off as anymore. I get they have a heel vibe, but they're doing a lot of really face things. They do Rumble hype. They do hype for the network that I still don't give a shit about, and I know there's a question about that for the Q&A. Let me tell you, I will answer that question in the Q&A. They're about to introduce Batista, and Triple H uses a really funny line. He's like, you could even say me and this guy evolved together, and it's like, oh, good lord, you went there with the wordplay. Instead of Batista, we get Orton. He gets berated by Triple H and Stephanie for losing to Kofi. He gets berated by Triple H and Stephanie for beating up Mr. Cena and making the company look bad. They say he's unbecoming of being the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and maybe we backed the wrong guy. He battles them on the idea of a rematch with John Cena. He screams to the rooftops about Lesnar and Batista both being back, and Triple H really comes back to him with, we gave you that title. But we gave you that title because we believe in you. We believe in what you can do. We believe you are talented. You know, you have the tools. You have what we need you to have to be the face of the company. You've lost faith in yourself. He says, be a man. He says, fix what's broken. He says, fix what Kofi Kingston did to you last week. Fix the pending issues with you and John Cena, you know. If you've got a problem with Lesnar, go fix it. Be the Viper. Be the Apex Predator. And I will say this, and you know what? This comment will get me more heat than I think I've probably ever gotten on this channel. Triple H was channeling Paul Heyman in this promo. The way he was pumping up Orton like a manager, like a Paul Heyman guy. So I almost am tempted to say that Randy Orton could come out with a t-shirt tomorrow that says I am a Triple H guy, because Triple H's encouragement, motivation, whatever you want to call it, promo here was spectacular. Say what you want about Orton being the champion. Say what you want about Triple H, you know, always sticking himself back in the picture, always being on top of things, whatever the hell you want to say. This promo, this encouragement, this segment with Orton was fantastic. And then my buddy James, who always gets a shout out, has an absolute, as he would call it, nerdgasm, because then we get Batista. Batista comes in all open arms, and his clothes were weird. I'm just going to say that we're in a baggy clothes and a white zip-up hoodie that didn't have a hood, that was supposed to look sporty, but just didn't fit the Batista that I know. Just putting it out there, it's not important, but whatever. Goes into the ring, embraces Triple H, you know, high fives and hugs all around for Stephanie. No handshake for Randy Orton. Basically says, hey, you got a problem with me being back, don't you? You want to know why I'm back? And he looks him square in the face. I am back for that. Pause for a second. The championship right now is represented by 2 belts, so should he technically not have said, I am there for those, not that? Just makes me laugh. I'm not actually being that much of a douche. Mark Pearson. He says, I'm back to win the Rumble, I'm back to win the title, and I'm back to win my spot at Mania. And, you know, big old badass stare down between Orton and Batista, and then we get, you know, Orton has to go off and deal with the fact that he's got Kofi Kingston tonight, and deal with the fact that he's got Orton on Sunday before he can even think about Batista. And, you know, throw Lesnar in the mix too. Orton's got a lot on his plate, does he not? He can use the World Heavyweight Championship as a plate. It'll be great. Rhodes Brothers and Big E Langston, which is kind of an odd combination, but whatever, it's a championship combination, versus The Shield. We get it announced during this match that the New Age Outlaws have a tag team championship match at the Royal Rumble. Now, here's my problem with this. You guys know me. You guys know a lot of different things about me. You know I'm hyped about the New Age Outlaws being back. I almost said the Road Warriors because of the Road Dogg, because I'm special like that. I'm hyped about the New Age Outlaws being back, contributing to the show, contributing to the current talent. I'm iffy about them actually holding titles. I really think it's a slap in the face to have, you know, legit tag team legends like the New Age Outlaws on the pre-show of Royal Rumble. I think it's a slap in the face, for that matter, that the Rhodes Brothers, who have been doing fantastically and are the tag team champions, have to wrestle on the pre-show. But, you know, it is what it is. This match doesn't do anything for a long time until we have a stalling face-first suplex from Cody Rhodes on Seth Rollins, which looks absolutely beautiful. Most of this match is distracting as hell because the commentators are explaining the concept of the Royal Rumble match. Now, here's the thing. Here's where I'll give them a bit of slack. I will give them a bit of slack, which most people don't do. They don't give Michael Cole and JBL and Jerry Lawler a lot of slack because, oh, the commentary sucks, I don't think it sucks. I think it's just weird when they do shit like this. Yes, there's going to be a match at some point in the night that nobody really cares about. I hate to say it, normally it's a Divas match, or it's a jobber match, or it's a, you know, a mid-card match with no stakes in it, really. Yeah, you can afford to not talk about that match as much and talk about the upcoming Royal Rumble and explain some of the rules and whatnot, but not this match. I get, like I say, again, I get why they do it. WWE is aiming for a younger audience, and if you're aiming for a younger audience, there's always that section of the audience that has never seen a Royal Rumble match. And to go into the Royal Rumble and learn what the Royal Rumble is on the night might be a little off-putting to some people, and I do understand that, but you could have done this during a different match. That's all I'm going to say. Commentators explaining the Royal Rumble instead of coming. The end of this match comes with a whole lot of offense from the Shield, which I really, really like. Cody's I don't know, they're not calling it the beautiful disaster kick anymore, they're just calling it a disaster kick, which kind of sounds vague, does it not? But his, I can speak, I swear, it's not even that late, guys, I have no excuse. His disaster kick is countered into the Superman punch from Roman Reigns, and does he not look like a maniac when he does the Superman punch? I I didn't want to embrace that being the name of the move because, you know, so many people call Cena Super Cena, and I'm pretty sure the WWE, by calling it the Superman Punch, was trying to divert some of that cliche away from Cena, but it didn't really work because Cena still is what he is. But he looks like an absolute maniac when he does it, and especially when you got somebody that's admittedly a lot smaller like Cody Rhodes, it's absolutely devastating. Turns around, then we have a Spirited Goldust. Great. Roman Reigns, the steamroller of the Shield, and I mean that in a positive way, just took out the Rhodes brothers, just took out the tag team champions by himself, which leaves Rollins to hit the Blackout, which is another brilliant move on Big E Langston to get the win. Now, a couple things happened here. We had champions involved. A team of 3 champions lost, but they lost to the Shield, who've been dominating everybody seemingly forever since they got there. Roman Reigns, like I say, gets to continue being booked dominantly. Like I say, taking out the tag team champions basically by himself. And Seth Rollins not only gets the win, and Seth Rollins has been getting a lot of really good chances to shine as well. His match with Cena a couple of weeks ago. If you can make a match with Cena worth watching, then you've done something. But he gets to win with the Blackout, which, like I say, is just a beautiful move to see. But he got a clean pinfall victory on Big E Langston, who's the Intercontinental Champion. So are we going to see something develop there down the line? Because earlier in the match, the one who really didn't get a super shining moment in this match, ironically, is the leader of the Shield, Dean Ambrose, and he squared off with the the Intercontinental Championship. I can speak, I swear. He squared off with the Intercontinental Champion, there we go, Big E Langston, for quite a while. And they've been teasing this for quite a while, because there's all the rumors that, okay, WWE's going to unify the mid-card titles next. So I'm going into this match thinking, okay, we're building to Langston versus Ambrose, which would be cool because, you know, Ambrose could have the unified titles and be like, hey, look at what the Shield did. Or he could go off and still be a great US champion. Rollins could go in there and win the Intercontinental Championship, and then the whole Shield can stand there and say, hey, look what we did, and Roman Reigns is going to be the first one to get a world title, let's be honest. I don't necessarily agree, but I don't necessarily disagree. I'll just leave that where it is. Daniel Bryan comes out, and this is kind of short and sweet. We got a video recap of what happened last week and all the epicness that ensued there. I want to clarify something for you guys, and nobody has really gotten in my face about this, and I'm not really crying victim on that level, but I did voice my views on how the Daniel Bryan and Wyatt's thing went down last week. I said that it was done way too soon, which a lot of people said. And let's be honest, if you look at it objectively, take your Mark hat off, put your analysis hat on. I know people don't want to do that because it's Daniel Bryan and he's the internet's favorite guy. But if you put your analysis hat on, this thing lasted 2 weeks. This could have lasted. This had the potential. These guys are that good. They could have carried this story to Mania. They could have fucked each other over in the Royal Rumble. They could have fucked each other over in the Chamber and finally had a brutal brawl at WrestleMania. They didn't choose to do that. They cut it off after 2 weeks, which is way too short. Now, that being said, I said last week, for what this was, because this is the direction they decided to go, fucking amazing Austin-level crowd reaction moment. Not taking that away in the slightest. What they chose to do was done fantastically, spectacularly well. I just don't agree with what they did. Suck it. Moving on. He comes out and he recaps last week. He says Bray Wyatt has a Messiah complex, and the only way you can break somebody with a Messiah complex is to break them mentally. He says, Bray, I exposed you, and I've learned a couple of really interesting things when I was in the back. I learned that your boys, Harper and Rowan, are going to be in the Rumble, leaving you prime to face me. Calls out Bray Wyatt. Short, sweet, right to the point, and it's good. I don't always like Brian on the mic. I know that makes me a bad guy, and, you know, the internet's worst enemy and all that sort of thing, but I don't always like Daniel Bryan on the mic, because sometimes he's really obnoxious, and that's coming from me who's a Miz fan. Just saying. But Bray Wyatt comes out on Titantron, he says, you're a betrayer, and where I come from, betrayal is a sin. These fans are animals that turned you into a traitor. I'm going to encourage you to go home, hug your mother, tell her that you love her, and tell her that anything that I do to you on Sunday, you brought on yourself. Love Bray Wyatt. Just saying. Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt with a microphone. Paul Heyman with a microphone. CM Punk with a microphone. Bray Wyatt with a microphone. This is why we need, you know, Punk versus Bray. Just saying. We have a fun little match that doesn't really go anywhere, and it doesn't really amount to much, but it's still a fun little match nonetheless, because I, personally, like the guys involved. It's Xavier Woods versus Fandango. Truth's on commentary, you know, JBL keeps trying to be hip every time R-Truth is around, you know, the only hip JBL has is a hip replacement. There's my lame joke for the night. Truth on commentary, he's funny, I guess. The match was really, really short, but for what it was two young, fast guys, and that's always going to make me happy. They're flying around a little bit. Fandango wins with the top rope leg drop, which is great. I like the move. I like the move because it's amazing in its simplicity. A leg drop is pretty much as basic as you can get, but when you see somebody as athletic as Fandango or Johnny Curtis, if you want to be a mark, pull it off from the top rope, it is something to behold, even though you wouldn't predict that. And I like that about Fandango. Fandango's character is lame. Absolutely. The whole dancing gimmick is designed to be lame, but then he gets in the ring and he's fantastic. His match against Jericho at last year's WrestleMania, even though people do give it credit, nobody gives it, in my personal opinion, the credit it deserves. And this match didn't get the attention that it deserved either. It was a low-card match, but people were paying more attention, and the commentators were paying more attention to the fact that Emma from NXT was in the audience. So Emma's the next one we're going to get up in the Divas division. Paige, please? Just... I'm not even angry, just Paige, please. Give me Paige versus AJ Lee. Give it to me at WrestleMania. Make me a happy kid. We've lost Caitlyn because you guys are fucking idiots and don't know how to use people properly and want to push your reality show. Give us Paige. Give us Lita for a night. Something. SmackDown. We see Punk's interaction with The Shield, the New Age Outlaws, and Kane. Maddox and Kane are seen arguing in the back over whose idea it was to bring back Batista, and the Kane and Maddox dynamic, there's no point to it. If we're going to eventually see a match between Kane and Brad Maddox, the abacus to count the fucks that I do not give, my cup of give a shit is empty. Moving on. But Steph comes in, tells Maddox to leave in her typical Steph way, tells off Kane, makes Kane, you know, do the whole hangdog, yes boss thing for attacking Punk. It's not the corporate thing to do. It's not the right thing to do. It's not, you're not representing the company very well. And it's very strange because she's almost sounding like a babyface. He just says, you have to go out to the ring and apologize to Punk yourself. And the only thing I will say about this that makes any sense, the defeated, pussy whipped, and yes, I'm going to say it again, pussy whipped look on Kane's face as he leaves the office is just great. I mean, I really don't want to see a match between CM Punk and Kane either, because CM Punk could be doing so many better things, just putting it out there, not fighting Ryback and people like that. Kane comes out, calls out Punk, he gives an apology, and I know he's supposed to be this like lame in a suit corporate guy. His delivery of this apology was good in that it was lame. It sounded very much like a prepared speech that a delegate would give. It was a prepared apology. And I guess for that, lame because it's supposed to be is still kind of lame. So I don't know how to feel about that because, you know, maybe I'm being picky, maybe I'm picking it apart, but it is what it is. Punk comes out, he's taunting Kane. He's, you know, this and that. He's, you know, making him apologize again. You know, sorry, I couldn't hear you. You want my microphone? Then he eventually jumps Kane. They brawl for like all of 5 seconds. And of all people, I shake my head again because Maddox is the one to get control of the situation again. He announces that CM Punk is going to face one of the New Age Outlaws, even though they both come out. New Age Outlaws come out, they do the rock, paper, scissors thing, and Billy Gunn is the one that's going to face CM Punk. And this was a fun match. Like I said, it's absolutely nothing to write home about, and purely at least half of my enjoyment of it is because I'm a mark for the Outlaws, I'm not going to lie. Road Dogg on commentary was very good, and he gave a bunch of great sound bites in his role on commentary. Why are we here? I guess you've noticed a lot of the old dogs are coming back and looking for gold. We are looking for gold. We have a Tag Team Championship match on Sunday, building towards the match, building towards why they're back, building towards that whole totally avoiding the fact that they're doing Triple H's bidding, even when Michael Cole questions him directly. Punk owns Billy Gunn for a long time until the Road Dogg distracts him. Gunn starts overpowering him with a sleeper and an awesome dropkick. I'm sorry. there's a couple different people. Cody Rhodes comes to mind that when people talk these days about who pulls off a great dropkick, Billy Gunn at almost 50 or however old he is still pulls off an amazing fucking dropkick. Punk recovers from that, jumps from the ring to the outside, and jumps the Road Dogg over the commentator table. Punk does the DX crotch chop, which always makes me laugh because, you know, it's CM Punk before he delivers the high knee. CM Punk, with the respect that he has for the business and with the sort of old school vibe that he brings to the ring with him, has got to love working with a team like the New Age Outlaws. He's got to be doing the whole kid in a candy store thing. Anybody who's ever seen that famous photo of AJ Lee when she was a kid meeting Lita for the first time and just breaking down and being that happy, I would imagine CM Punk feels the same way when he gets to interact with the legends as much as he does. He, like I say, kid in a candy store, it's all good. And you see he's got a smile on it, even though he's supposed to be mad at them because that's what the kayfabe says. When he gets to sit there and he gets to do the whole crotch chop thing, it's just fantastic because you know he's having a good time. I'm sorry, I will always love him, even if it breaks kayfabe, even if it doesn't make logical sense to the story, to the match, to the whatever. If I can look in the ring or look on my TV into the ring and tell that the performer in front of me is having a good time, that will always improve my view of the match, my view of that person's performance, etc., etc., etc. But I am rambling. Punk goes for the elbow. Road Dogg pulls out Gunn. He jumps Road Dogg again outside. GTS on Billy Gunn, and Punk does in fact get the win. Punk was basically in a handicap match and won against a very, very decorated, you know, I use this term carefully, but legendary tag team. So Punk had a good night, all things considered, but his good night is over. Kane comes out, you know, sarcastically congratulating him and said, once again, the Authority has given you the opportunity to main event WrestleMania by putting you in the Royal Rumble. Good luck, you're number one. Oh yes, I see a Punk story developing. I see Punk going to Mania. I see it. I see it. Oh, yes. Sometime this week I'm going to do my who should win the Rumble and who should get the title shot video. Yeah. Punk. Just saying. Lesnar and Heyman arrive. They do the whole Royal Rumble by the numbers video. I like it. Because it's always done really well. WWE, I've said this a million times, has always done the video packages very well. In the past couple of years, they've done this by the numbers thing, and they give you all the weird and ridiculous stats that they can possibly come up with, and a lot of them are impressive, and a lot of them don't really matter at all, like Santino lasting 2 seconds and lasting less than the Barbarian, and all that kind of thing. This year, it's to the tune of We Own It, which is from the Fast and the Furious soundtrack. Here's what I'll say. I always bitch about the choice of music that WWE uses for their pay-per-views, how it's all like pop or rap, or sometimes it's even like sort of electronic type thing. And I would love it to be rock. I would love it to be rock or hard rock or metal, just because the aggression of the kind of sport that you're watching or the kind of television entertainment that you're watching, rock just makes so much more sense. I'm going to give them a pass on this one, because the song We Own It, Fast and the Furious, is one outside of the genre that I like, but it's still catchy, and it really does, if you listen to the lyrics of the chorus, it really does fit the Rumble. You know, go grab your moment. So I'm going to give them a pass on the music thing, which I don't normally do, but there we go. But the By the Numbers vid was there. We immediately go from that video package to a video package for the late, great Mae Young, rest in peace. Mae Young accomplishments in the WWE and wrestling in general, as far as being a female competitor, probably won't be touched again. Let's be real. I won't sit here and say that I watched Mae Young in her heyday and I've done all the research and I've seen all the old tape, whatever. I haven't. But I know enough to know that the lady deserves every scrap of respect that she has ever gotten. And she will be missed, not only by, you know, her friends and family and loved ones, obviously, but by the wrestling community and by the WWE, I'm sure, as a whole. Rey Mysterio versus Alberto Del Rio, and once again, the internet, alive. We've seen this too many times. Whatever. Alberto Del Rio owns from the start, which makes me happy. Stomping him into the ground and pound attack continues until Del Rio gets hung up in the ropes on the outside, leaving Rey Mysterio available to kick him in the face. It's not very nice, is it? Rey Mysterio hits a springboard moonsault to the outside, which I will admit, even though I can't stand Rey Mysterio, the springboard moonsault from the inside to the outside was a pretty fantastic move for Rey Mysterio and the stage of his career that he's at right now. I will give him credit for that. Fine, fair enough. Rey gets back in the ring. Rey gets hung up in the ring ropes, and Alberto Del Rio chomps. That's what he did. Nope. He stomped him chest to the mat. And it's funny that, you know, we had a match tonight where Seth Rollins got to use the blackout, which is sort of that kick to the back of the head. Del Rio, basically what he did with this stomp was he put his foot to the chest of Rey Mysterio and then put Rey Mysterio's body and his foot stomped down to them. It was very, very nasty looking, and like I said, with the spill that I took on the ice the other day, it was kind of a similar impact to that. So I kind of went for that one. Beats down Rey in the Tree of Woe. Rey Mysterio has a treehouse in the Tree of Woe, it would seem. It seems to happen to him once every match. In a guy that, you know, supposedly has had 10 billion knee surgeries, just ask Preston, to constantly be putting himself in Tree of Woe spots. I question it a lot. Alberto Del Rio blocks the 619, which is always going to make me happy, and meets Rey Mysterio with another kick to the head, which is awesome. Alberto Del Rio kicks out of the 619 and the splash, and we have the cross arm breaker. We have snap, crackle, pop, Rey's arm, and Alberto Del Rio wins again. Oh, yes. If we're going to play this out from now until Mania, even I will admit it's getting a bit old. But for now, they still put on good matches. And at the end of the day, is that not what we are here to see? The Doomy Clipboard of Doom is full of too much crap. Sorry, guys. Rambling and stuff that you don't care about. After the match, obviously, you know, Rey Mysterio is being helped out, carried out, whatever. And out comes his good old buddy, Batista. Now, I will say right here and now what everybody else in the YWC has already said. They're playing up this whole thing. Alberto Del Rio was picking on Rey Mysterio because Rey Mysterio is Batista's friend. Does anybody remember the gigantic Batista beatdown of Rey Mysterio a couple of years ago where "You were supposed to be my friend"? Swings him into the friggin' barricade over and over and over again. Why do I remember? Why do I remember it so vividly? Because Mini Cena deserved it, and it made me a happy boy. Oh, yes. But Batista comes out, finally loses the weird jacket that he was wearing, and Jesus Christ, the boy went and got more tattoos, didn't he? Holy crap. Hits the Spinebuster, which wasn't even a really, really crisp Spinebuster. He just literally and violently threw Alberto Del Rio at the mat, which looked better in my opinion. What also looked better was when he pulled off the Batista Bomb, it was a legit power bomb and not the usual sit-down style that he used to do. The one thing that used to bother me when Batista was a mainstay in the WWE, the Batista Bomb always looked vicious, but when he did the sit-down version and he did that weird roll when he had to get out, it always looked a bit awkward to me because he powerbombed the guy, and when the way he rolled out, it looked like he was under the guy that he had just powerbombed, which never really made a bunch of sense to me. But be that as it may, Del Rio served his purpose. He was the first person that, you know, received physicality from not the Big Show, Batista. Big Show's next in the next segment. Batista is the one we're talking about now. He was the one that received the first bit of physicality from Batista on his return. It wasn't Randy Orton, so we didn't make the champion look like shit, but Batista's got two different directions he can go now. He's been back in the company for one night, and he's got two pretty legitimate ways he could go. He could go down the, hey, you've been shit-talking me while I wasn't even in the company, and you've beat up my friend just to get my attention. I'm going to destroy you at, say, Elimination Chamber or whatever. Or we could go the more obvious route. Look, I have history with Triple H. I have history with Randy Orton. I don't like Randy Orton. Randy Orton's scared of me. I deserve to be champion more than him, blah, 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 blah. We have options for Batista. It's nice. It's nice. I like it. Big Show comes out, and I usually bust chops on the Big Show for all his comedy shtick, but oh my god, when he came out and started doing his Paul Heyman impression. I'm Paul Heyman, and I'm here as the advocate for Brock Lesnar. Funny shit. Honestly, I will give Big Show credit here, which is another person I don't usually give a bunch of credit to. It's that kind of night, isn't it, if you haven't already noticed? But his imitations of Paul Heyman were fantastic. Comes out, gives Brock Lesnar all the credit in the world. You know, he was, USWA champion, collegiate champion, WWE champion, UFC champion. Gives him all the credit that we already know about, like a good babyface does. Calls him out, and I like the way he calls him out. He didn't say, come on out so I can kick the crap out of you. I think you're a coward, come on out and prove me wrong. He said, best phrasing ever, come on out and let's see what happens. In other words, come on out, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm willing to chance it, are you? Best way to call somebody out that I've heard in a long time. Heyman comes out, and I think we're going to get faked, and we're just going to have a battle of words between Heyman and Big Show. The beautiful thing about this, Heyman does more by not saying a word. He really, really does. Brock Lesnar comes out behind him, walks to the ring, gets all the way to the ring apron, looks up, smiles, Heyman smiles, and they walk out again. Show calls him out again. Eventually they are face to face in the ring, but this gets drawn out. This gets drawn out maybe a little too much, but somebody who is really, really excited about this match would just say, well, they're building intensity. And you know what? Because I'm in a forgiving mood, obviously, this week, I'll accept that. Honestly. Brock finally tries to attack the Big Show, tries for a double leg, and Big Show just kind of stands there and gives him the what the hell you doing thing. But eventually Brock Lesnar is able to sort of shoulder tackle Big Show into the corner, which leaves Big Show wide open to do another really nice throw like he did a couple weeks ago. Now, what I like about this is the way Big Show goes to throw him. Because he's already head down, Big Show grabs him around the waist, and in the position that he's in, you almost figure he's going to bring him up for a powerbomb, but instead he picks him up by the waist, chucks him completely out of the ring. He starts freaking out on the outside, starts beating up the announce table with a chair, which is kind of starts throwing things in the ring like a chair or like a monitor. I think Big Show punched one of the chairs at one point, because when they show it lying on the ground, it's completely bent at sort of a right angle. I don't know what Big Show punching chairs is going to be. Is their match going to be a chairs match? I really, really hope not. Heyman eventually pulls Brock Lesnar away, and that's the end of the segment. Since I'm already doing the ridiculously open-minded viewpoint tonight, obviously after I've got all my venom out last week, one good thing I can pull from this: Big Show, even though we don't usually like it, is the one that's around all the time, and Lesnar's the one that's around sometimes. He's like your Triple H, he's like your Batista, he's like your Jericho, as much as I hate to throw Jericho in that mix. He's like your Undertaker, whatever. And usually those people come in for their brief moments and make a devastating impact. It's nice, if nothing else, it's nice to see somebody from the full-time roster get one over this dominantly on somebody from the, I guess you could say, the part-time roster. It really, really is, because the ones that come in part-time, they have to make sure that they look good so that they can look good on the way out. And we've broken that mold with this, and I think it makes things really unpredictable. I'm still not super excited about this match. And that's going to sound contradictory, but I'm going to try to explain it the best way I can. I'm not excited about this match because I know it's a placeholder. It's a placeholder until whatever happens that they have planned for Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Let's be honest, because I think I've heard that he's not even booked for the Chamber. So it's this, and then he's going to do a bunch of talking through Heyman, and then he's going to do whatever he's doing at WrestleMania. So it's a placeholder for Brock. It's the Big Show who I'm really still not that excited about. But at the same time, they've done just enough to have me mildly intrigued. Drive-by-the-car accident type of intrigued. So I am looking forward to this match in a very, I guess you could say, almost passive spectator kind of way. So let's hope that I'm right. Let's hope they do something good. Next, we have AJ and Tamina versus the Funkadactyls. And before the break, or during the break, I should say, we see on the WWE app that Bad News Barrett brought AJ some bad news. She was having a party to celebrate being the longest reigning Divas champion ever. I'm pretty sure she either outdid Maurice or outdid Michelle McCool, one or the other. But she had a party for herself, and the only one that showed up was Tamina. She was trying to be interviewed by Josh Matthews when Wade Barrett interrupted and said, "Oh, I've got some bad news. You're the most hated person in the Divas division." AJ, my girl, I dig crazy chicks, freaks out, goes to pie face Josh Matthews. He moves for once. For once, Josh Matthews wasn't the butt of the segment, and AJ actually ends up hitting Tamina with the cake. So when we come back to live, Tamina still has cake on her face and on her shirt, which is fantastic. I'm sure real life Tamina just wants to break AJ in half at this point. There's not much to this match. There's a couple things I'm going to say. Lawler pulls off a really creepy joke in this match, and it's not creepy in the sense that, oh my god, I was ridiculously offended, but even I had to look at this and be like, okay, you're trying to aim at kids. Let's not do this. His joke was something along the lines of, you can't make somebody love you, you just have to, follow them and stalk them until they give in. And I'm like, that's, be a star, aim for children, work with Make-A-Wish, let's tell the audience to stalk people. Oh, Lawler, usually I give you a lot of credit, but that one was just way too much. The other thing that I really have to say is a lot of people, and I've made this comparison myself, a lot of people are comparing AJ and Tamina to Shawn Michaels and Diesel. Now, obviously, there's two different, spectrums there, but Tamina's not doing herself any favors to get out of that comparison by using the big boot. It's a great move, but if you're trying to not get compared to Diesel, it's like Ryback using the jackhammer at a house show. It's just, you're not doing yourself any favors. I blinked, and Naomi got a pin. I don't even know how. I don't like the fact that the Funkadactyls have anything over the champion and what should be the most dominant diva in the division. I really don't. Way too much trying to push the Total Divas. Way too much. They need somebody eventually that's going to bring that title to the show, and it's not even going to be Natalya. That's the sad part. We get the All About the Numbers video package again. Yeah. And then we run down the card, because, it's a huge card. We have a tag team championship match between the New Age Outlaws and the Rhodes Brothers. We have Brock versus Show. We have Wyatt versus Bryan. We have Orton versus Cena, and we have the Rumble match, and then we have another explanation of how the Rumble match works. It's like, okay, even kids are not this dumb. We get the announcement that Rey Mysterio and the Big Show are going to face the Real Americans on SmackDown. Real Americans should be doing better than that, Big Cena and Rey Mysterio Cena versus the Real Americans now. Wyatt's versus the Usos. Wyatt's own the Usos hard until Harper tries to chop one of the Usos on the outside and ends up smacking his hand against the post. After that, we get a little bit of the Usos with some, hey, check us out, we're faster than you. Wyatt's regained control with a lot of double teaming and a lot of just brutal, mauling style shit. Rowan does that weird knuckle head vice thing that he's doing. I mean, it's not any kind of real wrestling move, but it's these guys are supposed to be, from way out there, from parts unknown, so they didn't exactly go to Stu Hart's dungeon, You want to make somebody submit, what do? You squish their head. I like it. It makes sense. Wyatt starts on a rant, and I tried to write down as much of this, I should say, as I could, because it was brilliant, and I forgot to tape Raw, so I couldn't even rewind it and whatever, and I wasn't going to stay up another 3 hours to catch the repeat. So what I got of his promo was, he was basically scolding the crowd for making Daniel Bryan a good guy again, I guess was the point. This is the punishment that awaits your hero at the Royal Rumble. He walks to the meat grinder. We are the Reapers, and he is walking to hell. Again, Wyatt on the microphone. Absolutely brilliant. We have another small flurry of offense by the Usos, but when Daniel Bryan attacks Bray Wyatt, the Wyatt family is distracted. Usos get the win. Everybody wins in this segment. Everybody wins. The Usos get a win over an otherwise ridiculously dominant team. The Wyatts don't lose any face because they were distracted by their leader getting assaulted. Bryan gets his licks on Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt doesn't look any the worse for it because he was jumped from behind. Everybody works. Everybody works. I guarantee you the Usos and the Wyatts are going to have a spot in the Rumble where it's the two of them just going at it, or they're going to be an extra match added to the card. One or the other. We added Fuels of the Fire for Bryan versus Wyatt at the Royal Rumble, which I will talk about again in a second. And it's just one of those segments where everybody wins. I mean, the Wyatts lost, but everybody won. Everybody got progressed a little bit. Everybody got built up a little bit by this segment. Kofi Kingston versus Orton. Really, WWE? Really? Kofi mauls Orton at the beginning of this match. Something fierce. Way more than he deserves. Orton takes over on the outside once he runs Kofi Kingston's face into the commentator table a couple times. Kofi gets in way too many near falls. And let me say this again. Botches the SOS. Again. I'm sorry. Kofi Kingston trying to pull off the SOS on Orton is worse than anything Cena's done so far this year. This is like Cena can't Rana levels of bad. And then I never thought I'd be happy to see John Cena in my life, but John Cena arrives. We see him storm through the back because he's all pissed off, and apparently he walked from wherever Raw was last week because he just got there, ladies and gentlemen. He's in ugly-ass new neon John Cena merch, and they brawl in the crowd, and obviously, the match gets thrown out. Orton runs out of the arena, gets into somebody's car, and drives away. Really ridiculously stupid stupidly anticlimactic way to end what was otherwise a really great Raw. Really great Raw. Now, the last thing I'm going to address before we go, and I don't put a lot of stock in dirt sheets, but this is one of those times where I almost hope that it's true. Almost. Guys, I'm a Daniel Bryan fan. I like Daniel Bryan. I think it's really shitty that he's suffering the effects of a concussion. I think it's great that he's been... what's the word? He's been medically cleared to participate in the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. The rumor is he is not part of the Rumble. Not part. The rumor. That's why he's got his match with Bray Wyatt, so that he can have a match where he can go in there, he can look good, he can progress the story, whatever, not take too many bumps, and not be in there for a strenuous amount of time, like the Royal Rumble, where if he was in the Rumble, I'm sure they would build him strong, he would be in there for a long time, he'd be dealing with lots of guys, he'd be exerting a lot of energy, and there'd be a lot more opportunities for him to take bumps and aggravate his concussion. Now, why would I almost be happy? Why would the mean, vindictive part of your buddy, your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, like it if Daniel Bryan was not in the Rumble? Because it would shut all the know-it-alls up. It really would. Guys, I'm not saying if Daniel Bryan is in the Rumble and wins that I'm not going to be happy. I'm really not. I would not begrudge him in the slightest. You can argue that he's the hottest thing in the WWE right now. He's earned it. He's broken down walls. He's proven himself time after time. He steadily puts out some of the greatest matches in the company. He deserves to be the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. He deserves a prominent spot at Mania. I will give you both of those. He deserves to win the Rumble. I will give you that. But I am flipping a big bird to everybody out there that thinks they know better than everybody else, that says Daniel Bryan is the only one that can win the Rumble. That's the only way it could go. It's the only one that makes sense. It's the only. And there's people basically out there, I know already, they're preparing their videos in advance that are going to say, even if we have a stellar 5-star Rumble, if Bryan's not in it, or Bryan doesn't win it, they will shit on the whole show. You and I both know exactly who those people are. And guys, I vindictively hope that it's true, so that you guys can open your fucking eyes and open your minds and know that it's not always going to work your way. A lot of shit is. Cena, okay, there we go. Cena wasn't on the show hardly at all. You know, Sheamus, who's the other Cena, is still injured, Daniel Bryan, the Usos, the Wyatts, the Shield, CM Punk, Damian Sandow sometimes. These are all the internet darlings, and they are getting the prime spotlights right now. If Daniel Bryan isn't crowned king at the biggest WrestleMania ever, exactly the way you want, it's not the end of the world. Go change your diaper and check it out. It might happen on Raw the next night. That's all I've got to say. But this has been my Raw review. Guys, go back a video, toss some questions in on that Q&A. It's already sitting at 41, like I said. If we can break 50, I'll be a happy kid. I said I wouldn't do the video if there was less than 5 questions, and you guys did not disappoint. You guys are all awesome. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, I'm tagging out, guys. Bye.
Freak like me.